Remember?
I said I picked her up and threw her out in the snow.
Yep.
What kind of car was you driving?
That was after you were
I was
married.
driving I believe it was a 41 Packard.
And what was she doing? Why was she crying?
She said, sold my screwdriver out in the snow. I had to fix my chain.
Why was Mama crying when you first met her and picked her and Betty up?
Oh, her and Betty was fussing and fighting over her check. Betty took it all away from her.
Was her feet
Took
cold?
$130-some.
Was she crying because her feet were cold in the snow?
Yeah. And I bought her a pair of boots.
You bought her some boots?
She turned around and gave them away.
That's Mama. That's Mama.
Never did wear them, give them away. Brand new fur-lined boots. The fur, I don't know, was that thick inside.
Well, where did y'all get married at?
Naruna.
Naruna?
Where?
Naruna, Virginia. It's right outside of Lynchburg.
Well, another spot in the road. The road goes like this. And I was in there one night with David, and he was about drunk. And somebody else, I don't remember who else who was. And the car pulled out in front of him right in that curve, and he's running about 60 miles an hour. That old Plymouth road, leveled out. We raised up. We missed that car. And so drunk he couldn't stand up.
What about some of them bar fights you used to have?
Them what?
Bar fights. Was it David that was always getting in
Bar
trouble at the
brawls.
bars?
Oh. I don't remember much about that.
Yeah, you always forget the bad stuff. What about the sawmill, Daddy? Did you work at the sawmill?
I always worked at the sawmill. That's the only job there was back then.
Up in Virginia?
Anywhere around Virginia, wherever you went.
How old were you when you moved to Virginia?
I was about 33 years.
No, when you moved with your mom and dad, how old were
About
you?
34.
You wasn't 34 when you moved to Virginia with your mom and dad?
1934 when we moved.
1934 is when you moved there.
Well, I just turned 35, 34.
You was probably 13, wasn't you? 12, 13?
I was,
See, you was 14 when your mama died, wasn't you?
yeah.
So you was probably about 10, 12,
Well,
13.
she died in 1940.
Yeah. But you were a teenager when y'all moved there, or a little bit younger. From the mountains here?
When we moved there from the mountains, it was 1933. Last part of 1933.
So you were 8 years old when you moved up there.
Yeah. Pretty close to it.
Yeah.
And then from there on, you just got more studly and more mean, right?
I didn't get mean, just people got in my way. I just knocked them out.
How old were you when you went into the Navy?
17 and a half.
17 and a half.
What was that girl's name you met in Hawaii? What was that little Hawaiian girl's name?
The one you said had hair down to here could really hula.
I asked him that because I was going to look her up while I was in
I
Hawaii.
remember the one's name that worked in the bar.
What was her name?
Nancy.
Nancy what?
Nancy
I couldn't tell you that.
See, I was going to look them girls up when we
What
went to
about the
Hawaii.
one that chased you in England?
I don't know about her.
That's funny how that mine.
The one that you lost
You mean the one that rode the train 2 hours to
to
get
see it. Yeah.
Oh, whatever happened to her. I had her name and address.
And you lost
Something
it.
happened to her. And I never could find her. Yeah, she rode the train 2.5 hours.
Tell Donna about D-Day, about them shooting them big old guns and what your ship was doing.
There's a rail and a rock. You can see them old jackals go through there. Boom, boom.
He was at Normandy?
Shake the ocean as it went overhead.
Those big old guns,
What were you doing? What were you out past the? Were you out in the water and the boys were going inshore?
I was out in the ocean, and the British battleship anchored right over from us, and they're shooting that 16-inch guns right across over top of us.
Wow.
Had a bunch of Germans over there. They couldn't do nothing with, and England said, "I'll do something with them." That sucker sat there about, he fired off, I'd say at least 25 or 30 rounds.
Wow.
Them old guns raised up, boom, boom, boom. Right back down the other, right up, boom, boom, boom. Smoke roll out there in the barrel, 8 to 10 foot. Blades, big blades of fire.
Yeah. Where were you at? Wasn't it Italy where them ladies was throwing their kids off that cliff because they're afraid of them coming in and hurting them?
That was.
Was that Italy where you were at when those women were throwing their children off that cliff because the Germans was coming in?
Oh, that was Saipan.
Saipan? You know, people were throwing their kids off the
They're
cliff.
throwing their kids off and jumping off fast.
Yeah. You saw some rough stuff in that war, didn't you?
I was thinking this mess a day or two after that you ever smelled in your life.
And how?
And he was just a boy.
Yeah,
American soldiers down there getting them dead out of the water. Putting them in what's left of them in body bags.
And you were at Pearl Harbor about a year after it was attacked, wasn't it?
No, it was over a year after it was attacked.
Was it over a year?
Yeah.
And those ships were still smoking, some of them?
Well, Arizona was still bubbling up all crude oil from the tanks on.
It's still doing that.
It's still doing it.
It's still doing that. I got video of it.
Where else did
We was anchored right at it when we come back in from the Pacific.
Were you?
45.
What all areas were you in the war over there?
Well, I was in Sicily. I was in Africa. And I was in France. I was in England. And let's see, what else was
Italy, Hawaii.
That name, Hawaii?
Oh, Hawaii don't count.
That wasn't the war.
That's in the Pacific.
Yeah.
Yeah, they there wasn't nothing left in England. We stopped in I can't think the name of the man. Where them old mug heads is from.
Beatles. Liverpool.
Liverpool. And you're going up there, the channel about 2-3 miles. That's Manchester, England.
Yeah.
There wasn't nothing there but just shells buildings where it been blown out from the way. Well, Liverpool was the same way. They'd managed to hit the docks a couple times, but they'd been repaired.
Where did you take your basic training at?
Sampson, New York.
They make you learn how to swim?
Huh?
Did they make you learn how to swim?
They tell you jump off and go for it. You didn't jump off, they shoved you off. the dog wouldn't jump off, so I went ahead of him. I jumped off and swam the 55 yards he was supposed to swim.
Yeah. What kind of trouble did you get in New York over guard duty?
Oh, what?
Over guard duty. What kind of trouble did you get in New York over your guard duty? Where did you go eat when you was on guard duty?
Over in the waxing ways we'll win the war, so what the heck we're fighting for?
You were such a stud, Muffin. Now I know where Derek gets it
You had two big apartment buildings there, and they was in two of them, and we had to guard both of them, make sure no men went in.
That's like asking the damn fox to guard the hen house.
Well, them girls was pretty strict about that, their own thing.
Who did you run around with in Virginia besides David?
David.
Yeah, who else were you running around with up there? In Virginia?
He's the only one I run around with, I know of.
Who got hit in the head with the bottle? Joseph?
No, what's his name? One got put in the nut house.
Raymond. Yeah. Tell Donna about the motorcycle you used to ride.
What, the one you hit the...
This is when
The
he was
cherry
younger.
tree. We just talked about that.
That motorcycle took a notion its own. He just went through there. Landed on the side on a big rock.
You ain't too good with motorcycles.
These guys come along on a straight truck with a bunch of sawmill people. They run that old Harlan and started picking up. I said, cut it off before you pick it up.
Yeah, he owned a Harley when he was younger.
That's the way that back wheel just sitting up there.
What kind of Harley did you have, Daddy?
Huh?
What kind of Harley did you have? What kind of Harley did you have?
1938 Harley.
One of them old kickstarts, wasn't it?
Weighed 900 and some pounds.
Oh, jeez.
One of them old kickstarts, wasn't it?
Yeah, and he'd kick you
back.
if you got a little too high on me.
And what's the fastest you were ever on that motorcycle?
Oh, good gosh, I don't know. Probably 75 or 80 miles an hour. And that was dirt roads back then.
Yep.
That old boy bought that thing. Bought him, went somewhere and got him a pint of moonshine wick and put in his back pocket. Coming back down the road, he's showing off. The old motorcycle went end over end, and he pulled forward. He wound up way up in a honeysuckle bed, and the motorcycle landed right behind him. He got up, he wasn't worried about the motorcycle. He went to hunt his pint away. I'll tell you, the best thing that ever happened to him, when he first bought that thing, he brought it home on a flatbed truck. They hauled lumber on, and they unloaded it. He weighed a tube of tin up in the fork of apple tree to stop. He's going right up that and stop him.
What about that
He got
motorcycle?
it cranked up and took off. He couldn't get it off. And then went through the fork apple tree, and that old motorcycle went overhead first. Done off. Got how many hundred couple $100 damage to the front end of it.
Back then, that was like 2000.
He didn't care. They made money, make money, and it was money.
You guys didn't get along too well with fruit trees, did you? What about that cherry tree you hit with a motorcycle? What about that cherry tree you hit with your motorcycle?
With the Honda.
What kind of motorcycle was it?
That
Honda?
was a Honda.
Nothing.
Yeah, you hit that damn cherry tree in the
I
yard.
got up and
cut
got
it
it back
down.
up and kept going.
Yeah, and then I come home and that cherry tree done got cut down.
Just shot that cherry tree down,
That
didn't you?
cherry tree was dead anyway. It was.
I sit up in that cherry tree in the summer and I'd pick
I
them
love
cherries
that
till I
cherry
got
tree.
sick to my stomach.
That thing was dead as a duck when I hit
What
it.
happened that time when somebody hit your windshield with an ice cube?
Ooh!
Who hit your windshield with an ice cube?
Uh,
Who hit your windshield with an ice cube?
Don't point it at me. I
What was she doing?
batting them with a dang,
Bad
what you call them?
didn't. A wiffle bat.
Yeah.
What kind of car was it?
67 Plymouth Satellite.
What happened to it? What happened to it?
You broke the windshield on it and wouldn't pay for it.
What happened to her?
What'd you do to me? Chase me around the yard? Maybe
Beat her butt, didn't you?
Maybe kick my own
I said you
stick.
beat Tad's butt for doing that, didn't you?
Made her pick her own hickory switch.
Let's chase.
Jimmy's the one I busted his butt so many times.
He called him
Hard
Fat
head.
boy.
Fat Boy. That was Rubberhead.
Hard-headed, this kid is
See, hard-headed.
kept on something.
He's still hard
You'd
headed.
get him out of one thing, he'd be right back in. Bust his butt right good and he'd squall for a little bit. Well, look around, he'd be right back in the same thing.
Jimmy was one. Didn't he wreck his bicycle and he'd pick up rocks and throw at it and cuss the
He
bicycle?
would destroy everything. I can't believe he takes such good care of things now. Wouldn't he destroy everything? He'd get mad at a video game, we'd never have that game again.
He still tends to throw controls.
Does he?
Oh, yeah.
What?
He went through controllers and controllers on them darn games.
That's hilarious.
Hey, Daddy, you remember telling Jay the story about the Japanese throwing the hand grenades on the ship when you were on guard?
Oh, that was the Iwo Jima.
What happened?
I was on back fantail on guard with a Thompson machine gun, and dang gunner officer sneaked around the back right easy. And when he made the second step, I took and so that going up, I figured he just took one more step, I'd have cut him in two. And he said, whoa, it's me. I said, well, you know better than to sneak up on somebody like that. And me with a loaded Thompson machine gun.
Woo, Grandpa George with a loaded machine gun.
You shot them big guns too, some, didn't you?
Oh, I shot a 538, a 350, 20 millimeter. I didn't ever get to shoot the pom-poms.
Did you not?
But weren't you telling Jay about the Japanese coming up beside the boat and throwing the grenades on the
That's
boat?
when I was talking about that.
Yeah, they was having to watch.
Didn't you have to throw them back off the boat?
We cut them down and threw them off the boat.
Oh, okay. I
Don't
didn't.
fool people like that trying to kill you. You
What?
kill first.
What them Japanese used to do with them airplanes, them ships?
They dived on
Suicide bombers?
a suicide plane. And if you didn't get him, he's gonna get you.
Yeah.
You had two choices. Get that joker or he's gonna get you.
Yep, they didn't care if they killed themselves on it. What about the time they took you up my plane in the Navy to see if you wanted to be a pilot?
Oh, I wish I'd never went up in that point. It was the Duckworth Style Bomber.
I heard this one.
That joker went way up around over Pearl Harbor, circled round and round. I noticed you getting awful dang high. It looks like that ground was coming up 90 miles an hour. You got down pretty close to the ground. It started. I see the flaps come out on it. It started pulling out. That old engine just screaming.
And what color was your shorts when you got home?
They were still white.
Now what about the submarine?
What's that?
When they try to get you to go into a submarine, be on a submarine.
I told them that I was in Richmond, Virginia.
Yeah.
They want to put me in the on a submarine. I told that officer, I said, I ain't about to go on one of them things. I said, you leave me where I'm at or kiss me goodbye for good. Either one you want to do. He said, I ain't gonna put you on the one. If you don't want them, we don't put people on them that don't want to be on them.
Well, why didn't you want on it?
Oh, there's not no one of them things. I want to see what's around me. And if I'm shooting at something, I want to see what I'm shooting at.
Yeah, and if you get shot one of them things, you ain't gonna come back up.
Why did y'all move to Virginia when you were little?
Charles,
What'd Charles do?
he cut Uncle Feed all to pieces.
He
That's why
did
you
what?
Cut Uncle Feed off to pieces. That's when y'all moved to Virginia, wasn't it?
Yeah. He wasn't but 15 years, over 15 years old.
Why'd he cut him?
You never think Uncle
Mean
Charles
as a
did like
dickens.
that.
Charles? Charles was mean?
We knew a different Uncle Charles,
Good
didn't
God
we?
Almighty.
Wow. That blows my mind.
Me and him and John Hopkins sat down there in Charles' kitchen one night. And John Hopkins was drinking and kept running his mouth.
That drinking gets you in trouble every time.
Yes, it will.
I've told you, shut your mouth and go home now. Said, I ain't telling you another time. Old John let out some more of his big mouth. Boom! He went plumb through the kitchen. Charles went there and picked him up and threw him out in the yard.
And Uncle Charles was my favorite uncle.
Oh,
I
he had
remember
a
being down at his
temper.
house and having one of those, it was a lemon thing. You remember the thing you put around your leg and you put it over your
It's
ankle
coming from,
and then you skipped?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's coming from up Fort Houston, up in there somewhere one that night. And they stopped at one of them drinking places. And John Hopkins got in there and started running his mouth and arguing to somebody. Charles tried to give him shit up and he wouldn't. Got a fight started and Charles got knocked through one of them big glass showcases. Cut his arm from down here way up here. They thought he was going to bleed to death before they got him to the hospital.
John was the one that lived on Chesapeake Bay, that Joanne was his daughter. Charles's brother-in-law.
Yeah.
But now I tell you, when you're talking to Charles, you see that sticking grin come on his face. You better leave him alone.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't going to take no more.
Well, you know what? That runs in the family. I told him, I said, Kiki's got that same grin on her face when she's about to get into something.
You can only push the crump so far, can't you? I said, you can only push a crump so far, can't you?
Right.
That's right.
I'm going to